Call this meeting to order. Morning, everyone. Do we have minutes to review today?
The minutes were distributed by email. I don't know that there was no discussion by email. I would make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as written.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? Excellent. So we've approved the minutes. Thank you. s- Okay, thank you. Well, hopefully let me look and see here. She is not online, so okay. Okay. So John, would you come up here, please? Let's just talk about things that are going on the course right now. So there's work going on in the course. Maybe you could just speak loudly, so hopefully it gets caught by the.
Yeah, existing work is the traffic project, which began on Monday. They got a good weekend, which means it's 35% completed. And with the weather is being delayed, just be out as soon as you can. It's happening probably today or tomorrow, so you can get out there. I took a look, even though it was clear, we didn't have any clear weather to help get around the golf course. It's a little bit too bad. That's existing, and then there was an issue with the ball washer on 6. Scope of work, but it was just moved off to the side. It's a ball washer. The new tee that was placed, that was something different. So people didn't know.
Yep. Thanks for taking that away so quickly.
Yeah, that was fast.
Yep.
Thank you.
And in fact, I think I had my Joe do it, my assistant, and he said it was all had on the side. So it was
Great. Thank you very much.
Yes.
As far as ongoing work, that's about it. We plan to do some cart path work. We've got some material there. Doing this and just doing existing paths, and just bringing them to more accessible and easy to get through. Just putting a layer of stone dust on as far as that. And let's see, trying to think, just getting ready for next year without equipment. As far as that's my work. From the Osco, there's a couple of trees, a couple of ideas that we're looking into for improving the golf course. We did sod a couple of tees, number 5 and number 6, the rear 5 tee, and the rear 6 tee. That was completed December 1st, for the first week. Assessing areas, there's some trees that seem to might influence the growing environment, and some I saw that which seemed to be a little bit in a dangerous situation, safety issues. So I'm looking into that and along those lines, getting those taken down at some point. And nothing really else I can think.
Okay.
Any questions?
No. Oh.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Good morning. Yeah, so we're using the video here, but if you sit here, you just won't be on camera, but you'll be on audio. So we'll move on to the irrigation project. So I exchanged email with Mark Purple earlier this week. He said the discussions are continuing with the CPC committee. They're deliberating how they want to proceed, in preparation for the town meeting that's coming up. So I think that's going to become much more clear over the next 1 or 2 weeks. So as more information becomes available, I'll let you guys know. I asked if there's anything else we should be doing right now, and we said no. At this point, we're waiting for the CPC committee to come out with, their stand. So I'm optimistic, but I think we just have to wait a little bit. Speak louder, please.
I think the date of the town meeting is unfortunate because it's March 23rd, and I know at least 3 members, including myself, but my people who go away for the winter, I'm not that.
Okay.
That's unfortunate. That would have been 3 votes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Lynn. I don't know that there's any more discussion about irrigation right now, but any,
Well, on funding, no, but on any clearances that we need to get vis-a-vis the conservation restriction. We've got Dan on your computer and Melissa Danza here.
perfect. And so that's next on our agenda here. So so Dan, thank you very much for joining. And I'm sorry, Alyssa? Melissa. Melissa, thank you for joining us. So how do you think we should proceed with this discussion?
Well, I'll just. Originally, Kristen, your colleague, had reached out to me on behalf of the committee back in, I want to say, August. And we weren't able to coordinate a visit with her to this meeting before she went out on leave. I think at that time, her agenda was to inform us just as a committee about the aspects of the conservation restriction that we ought to be alerted to and aware of and so forth. And that still works for me. But if we can sort of focus it on this irrigation project that we are hoping to find funds for and that we all agree is important for the continued viability of the golf course, that would be fabulous. And I don't know if either of you is prepared to just talk off the cuff or if we should do question and answer.
Can I just ask who, we've got Melissa from Conservation Committee, and then we have also someone online from.
Yep, my name's Dan Stimson. I'm the Director of Land Management at Sudbury Valley Trustees. So we're a co-holder of the conservation restriction, and I'm in place of Kristen O'Brien, who typically handles our conservation restriction requests, and she's out on maternity leave.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And you as well, Melissa, thank you. So maybe we could get their opinion on where things stand from their perspective?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's make it closer, because otherwise Dan won't hear you.
Thank you very much. Maybe
Dan,
you
feel free
maybe
to
maybe
step
pull a
in.
chair up for her right
Oh,
here,
yeah.
Ira, so she can like sit. Perfect.
So essentially, in terms of irrigation, this was something that, we discussed during the writing of the conservation restriction, making sure that the appropriate language was in there. So it's definitely something that's allowed. And it's something that we made sure, you'd have the appropriate space to put any infrastructure, so any piping, if you need something like a pump station or a generator. There's areas within, the golf course that allows for those, so there's not really any kind of concern about the installation per se. The only real discussion about kind of irrigation and when you guys are going to be doing the work, the main kind of clause that talks about it, it's really just making sure that the surface is restored to the extent practical to its prior condition. So essentially, you want to put the golf course back to the way it was. And it's basically ensuring for us, for both conservation and SBT, as the holders of the conservation restriction, that it doesn't minimize or impact any of the values of the golf course, so things like the scenic views, wildlife impacts, which, I think as we always planned or hoped that irrigation would go into the golf course, we kind of already thought those processes through. So really what we would look for, both conservation and Sudbury Valley trustees, is what that final plan will look like. Where are the drainage lines going to be going? Where are you going to be taking water from? I think it talks about trying to minimize the use of water as much as possible, so obviously on keeping that in mind. If there's a use schedule or something like that. But essentially, it's just really, once you have the plan of where and when it's going to be going, submitting that to both of us for our review and giving a written approval to state that this can move forward so that it gets incorporated in our yearly site visit, I guess, of the property. And so when we created the conservation restriction, we had this baseline report, which is what the property looked like when it went in place. So we just need to make sure that we have that history of all the changes that come, we have that complete record. So it's nothing, I think, extraneous. It's really just making sure that both entities that hold that CR are on board and kind of understand what's going And really just that. final push.
Okay.
That was incredibly helpful. So thank you for that summary. Dan, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
And Melissa hit every point exactly right. So yeah, just what she said.
So that's perfect. So it sounds, so thank you. So it's nice to hear from someone so authoritative. And so, because we, there's all this rumor about, well, what do we have to do? But so that's great. So
Do you guys have copies of the conservation restrictions? Is it something that you would like?
I would like.
I once did, and
Okay.
I can't
Yeah.
find it, so
Yeah.
we could
Do you want
sure
me, I
use
can
it.
print you hard copies even before I leave here. If that's something that would be useful to you guys.
I don't think it's necessary for me, but it's up to you guys. Do you feel?
I
Oh,
would prefer
okay.
a soft copy.
Yeah,
if
I
you've
was
got
gonna
one.
say a soft copy.
Yeah.
Soft copy.
3, 2.
So if you can email it to,
Yeah, I'll
I
email.
guess,
Yeah.
then we'll get it distributed. So everyone sees it.
Right.
Okay.
And then, so let's assume that, I'm sure there are other questions, but let's assume that at the town meeting, the irrigation project is approved. So then what's like the logistical process with the SVT to actually get a signed, whatever needs to be signed so that work could actually occur?
I'd say it really comes down to once you have the final drawings and plans of the project. So it's kind of agnostic to funding, and it's a pro and a con. So it doesn't really matter which process you do first per se. So I'd say once you have those plans, just a very simple, cover letter memo to both myself and Dan or Kristen when she gets back stating the town is looking to install irrigation, per the conservation restriction, we would like to get your approval, very simple. I think it's something that, John has been talking to us since the beginning, so it's something that both myself and Kristen / Dan have known about and have been preparing for, so we've been waiting.
Everyone's poised.
Yeah.
Do we have what is described here as final drawings? Does that final drawing exist?
Final, they're pretty much, I would say they're very accurate, but not until the last, how much funding we have, what we might be able to expand to, just make sure it's not, what we think is what the town wants. I've already got a plan.
So we can't make a final drawing until after the funding approval occurs?
It would probably be a selection, but there's gonna be 2 options that I've asked for, engineers for this plan. There can be 2 options, and it's gonna be up to the town to select. And tell me which way they want, it's what.
And do those, the 2 options cost different amounts of money?
Yes.
One's being one more than expensive than the other.
So I don't
They
think it's that
comparable?
much.
Yeah, they're pretty.
It
comparable.
really is. There is an ongoing cost of one of them, which would be probably, I'd say, because it's based on a software program. So software programs, you have to pay royalties, which would probably be right now, it's $2,500 a year.
Oh,
And that has to be, it's something that's an ongoing cost, whereas one, there is something, if it's something that's wrong, fix it, that's it. The other thing is, it's, in order to operate the system, which happened to us, which I didn't like to hear because it did happen down in Connecticut, we were supposed to operate with the cellular system. And the town, for some reason, didn't have a PO to pay for that software, and they shut it down. And so you couldn't operate it hands-free, basically hands-free going to the phone. Otherwise it's called SIM. So that's one thing. All you can do is the hardwire essentially to the computer and graphics. So, that's far you can just do what, I have 75% of my course, which is just a program.
a locally programmed.
Pencils,
yeah.
just another thing that's gonna be on board, something.
So let me make sure I understand this. So there are 2 options that you're considering. One, they cover that same coverage on the course, same coverage, same
items.
same water usage on the course.
Yep.
The only difference being one is more automated than the other one.
More present day, I guess that's what it's saying, or
The
Remote
the
control-
control of,
remote
Remote,
controls,
remote.
yeah,
like everything is.
Connected to the
these days, like,
internet.
Cell phone use or,
Yeah.
your brain, some things.
so speaking as a taxpayer, I'd rather not spend $2,500 a year on software, but I'll
We don't
defer
make
to.
that decision.
I guess, is that a discussion we want to have now, so that we can provide guidance here, or how do you, what do you guys think?
They're not on writing, so.
Town, but they view the future of, because you can't view the future down the road 30 years with me here. So it's up to the town system.
Yes, Lynn.
So John, on the family, what's the disadvantage of that you said there is?
There's really no demand. I don't see it from my point of view, smaller course, if it was a large course or say, you know, say it's an 18-hole golf course, similar to the Hopkins Country Club, yeah, I think that's the way it goes. This one is probably, I just don't think you need it. I really don't, that's my opinion, but I'm gonna let that.
Well, so I have to admit, my inclination, again, you know, subject to discussion here, would be to, if you think that the
The low tech.
the one that doesn't require an annual subscription for software.
Which I would want to put, I can't see spending it.
Yeah, so if
Again, it's
I
not my
think,
money, but
I think we should take that off the table then.
Well,
I-
does the,
But you should have
does
more
it help
information.
with water management? Is there any built-in conservation of water by doing this? Others?
I mean, what?
So there are two things that Melissa mentioned that the plan needs to touch on that caught my attention. One was water sourcing and utilization.
On this size course, we're probably at 10%, you know. 9% conservation, we don't have, it. We don't have. it. The water resources act. That is what I go by, and they go by total acreage, in which case we are nowhere close to that. Because they allow for golf courses. Golf courses are very, SVT will agree, because they don't have any of them, this is their first one. So this is more or less learning more about what's needed on the golf course. They put restrictions in, it's like a law, this laws in this case law after that. It's gonna be the same thing, they're gonna change.
So I'll tell you what, so how about this?
Let me
Since,
just,
well-
finish my,
sorry,
the other thing that I heard Melissa say that I just want to verify that our plan, once it's completed, will have a drainage planning.
There is no grant irrigation.
Okay.
Yeah,
I-
I think she was.
It was
I think
novel
talking about
to
drain-
me.
Yeah, drainage line in terms of.
Right.
Utility. component.
Okay,
There is no grant.
sorry, Tony, I just wanted to make sure that.
yeah,
Right, so I think there's no impact to wetland, because there's only 2 crossover points, which are, you know, in those areas, considered drainage, not waterways. I think that's what we discussed.
There's still.
They're waterways, but they're, you know, I don't think there's impact. But
That is an important thing to bring up, though, even though we have the conservation restriction, there's also conservation commission permitting as well, which is
Yep.
separate, so that
Yep.
would still need to, but that's
Yep.
kind of the same process in terms of when, as we get that.
the existing, there is 2 crossovers. So all we're doing is process.
so how about this, John? So if we, how about if we table, I would propose we table this conversation for now. Ask you to come back to our next meeting, schedule another meeting, and you come back with a little bit more information about the 2 options. So if you could, I don't know, just make it a little bit more clear for everyone.
Yeah.
if you could write something- Yeah, so something kind of simple. These are the 2 options and your recommendation. I think that would be very helpful. All right, so why don't we do that then? Because it's, this doesn't feel like we don't have to decide this now, but it'd be good to have a little bit more information before we make that choice.
And again, the only difference would be, the satellite. would be the only technical item on the side, and everything else should be.
So again, why don't you kind of try to summarize that and come back in the next meeting, and then we'll discuss this again.
Great.
I got an ex officio member of the committee.
You don't have to provide.
The chair is squibbling.
Curious.
It's all about you, Ira. Okay.
No, it isn't.
Okay, great. Yes,
Benefit to getting.
I think it's only if you want support for voters, if you want that as something in your pocket to say it's been approved by, under the conservation restriction, that'd be my only, you know, but it's not necessary.
It certainly sounds like it would be fair for us to represent that it's very likely that this would be approved by SVT. Okay, so I think that's maybe how we'll leave it for now. I think we should dig into the sprinklers, you know, these two options a little bit more before we finalize the plans. So we'll just keep taking these steps.
And that probably requires us to find.
Yeah, yeah.
Which gate?
Any other discussion with our representatives from SVT here?
I would just note that the conservation restriction with respect to the water usage, the one piece that it does speak about is that the amount of water is in accordance with sound golf course management practices. So I think it would just be good to note in your proposal that, you know, you've used this system because this is what golf courses do, and note that it's water conservation friendly if that's the case.
Okay,
Thank you. That makes sense.
perfect.
I'll
Okay.
ask one more time. Any other discussion with our SVT members here? Dan and Melissa, thank you very much for your time.
Yes, really.
Really
you both.
appreciate it.
I'll make copies.
So that's perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks for including us.
Thanks, Dan.
Moving on our agenda, we have an obtaining conservation approval for other near-term projects. Is there anything to be done here? It says obtaining conservation approval for other near-term projects.
Yes, those are the path on 3 and the drainage on 1, which were approved by conservation.
Okay, so those are finished.
So sure.
Okay, great.
And that work, I have. Updating the place of the
Still,
inclusive of everything that's conservation asked for.
Okay,
okay.
always have to capture the salt. Okay, other updates from anyone on the committee? Public comment. Lynn.
I did not bring enough.
We can
copies
share.
for
We'll-
everybody,
we'll
but I
share.
Let me
figured-
just say, Lynn, you're very good, right? This is great that
Yeah.
you are so active here.
So, just thought people would like to hear what our final statistics were. So
Oh, wow, this is good.
we actually played 28. We had 28 days ago.
That's amazing.
April 17th, November 20th, and we actually had 20 women involved. And it was it was across the ways. We couldn't tee off till 11 a.m., which caused a few people who were to miss it. And it was 30 years in teed off. So we had 20 women involved in the first time we've ever made it to
That far into the season, yeah.
Exactly close. And we only canceled 4 times. 783 rounds of golf. And, you know, my estimate of what we brought in for greens, fees, and cart fees. And, we had 65 women golf. 20 of them were new to the league this year. And we averaged 28 women per round. And if you take out the holidays, we were always low, it would be 30. And actually, we'll take out those last 2 cold Mondays in November.
So no hole in ones this year?
Yes.
Oh, was there one?
We will.
Yeah.
One of them was-
1, 2.
If you could add that to the statistics next year, that'd be.
That's fabulous.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lynn.
So.
Outstanding. Thank you.
That's perfect. You're such a good advocate for the Women's League, Lynn, so thank you.
And I still do wait with trustee, you know, because, you know, I think pretty much I love to do that. I don't think that-
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to note too, just that we have a wait list.
Oh, yeah, but anyone, and I know, I think everyone just, anyone who contacts me, if they're from Southborough, they get added.
Yeah, that's great.
Since the town was close. So my memory was.
That is great. And I do think, I don't know, I think about this, I've thought about this each spring, the last couple of springs, that it's unfortunate the men's league isn't more active. I don't know what we have to do to try to find an advocate to play a role to try to gather that group of people together.
Bob Murphy isn't running the program. And there are a couple of guys who took it over, their names, if you go to the link, page on the website. That's a good one.
I might,
Probably a contact.
Yeah, but they don't know more. I mean, I'm not doing clarification myself on more because. You know, what it's more, but then I'm just more for. They found out about it, the first person, and they was one myself. So I mean, there's certainly not, so that would be something that it'll be more organized versus like we said. So they certainly could do that.
yeah, that's great.
Are there any men after league, you know, after work leagues, are there any men?
They're small. Monday night is.
Huh.
And then we have the senior league.
Yeah.
That's in the afternoon. And just a small, maybe 8 people, 12 people, it's 5 leagues, and it was, I was not using the application for that. But there are others, there's 5, sometimes they get up. Yeah, they went to,
Oh, they did.
yes,
Yes.
they did, right, yes.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That's,
Everyone did leave.
but that's. So, no.
Right, that's what usually happens.
What usually happens, I didn't hear you.
They-
I'm just asking, because my husband belongs to a league and it's every Tuesday night, it's up at Shining Rock, but I mean, a lot of them, I think, complain about like the price and it's expensive, and I'm just wondering why we couldn't compete with some of these other places. And that's a big league.
Is the minutes Wednesday? Actually, advertised as a single league.
Notice.
Okay, because originally for this, for our league, it was advertised as senior and now I told. You know.
Scared us away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. It's just who can show up. Yeah,
I mean, it does tend to be, well, because it's, you know. has
Well, right.
People available Monday mornings, but I mean, I tell you, I hope it's gonna be, you know, I mean, we've got an idea of it, because when we own it, when there's all these times, if it wasn't.
And notoriously, it's.
I don't think you would have had one people golfing on the money.
No. That's absolutely.
So, you know, so it's great because we, you know, that was.
Yeah, yeah.
We're, I think, we're a party. Make a lot more.
Oh, my gosh.
Nobody else.
You're not kidding. I mean, these women are admirable.
Even one of the.
Margit, right?
Margit.
And Margit, yeah. Oh,
But Joan.
Yeah.
was out there, club and blah, and when she's in the club,
right.
out there golfing on the plane, she, and people do not want to leave that one. We talked about it in your clubhouse.
Yeah, I think we're one of the few groups that actually use the clubhouse.
And we are, and that's the other thing too, that, I mean, I know from the men's website, I mean, some of them will stay, but not as, but they're not as big of a group.
Yeah.
They also go off at different times. Like some.
Yes,
people-
there's
yeah.
a group of one at 12 o'clock, I think it was about.
And then one of them was like, my husband was at like 1, it's like
Yeah.
12 or
Wait.
1 and a 3:30, which again doesn't. And I would say almost all women, I'd say 95% of women in the league stay afterwards, at least 80% of the time, even that first group.
Because of the food,
They stay.
the food and the coffee. It's the iced coffee and the food.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and they're great.
Yeah,
Great food, too, so.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Okay, well, thank you very much, Lynn.
And I-
They do, they do, yeah.
Um,
And Neil on Sundays, yeah.
So how about if we pick a next meeting date?
Okay.
And I think it might be useful to do this, I don't know, in 3 or 4 weeks before the town meeting, and hopefully we have positive information on the irrigation system.
February 8th. Is 4 weeks.
So does February 8th work for everyone? Why don't we go with February 8th then? (9:00), and hopefully at the
Public safety
Public-
training room
public safety training room.
is our first choice
Yeah.
because it's rigged up for electronic meetings.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, we need a motion to adjourn.
Now I want to stay. I move that we adjourn.
I second.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very nice chatting with you.
Reaps,
Give yourself
get around.
a-